Okay, we'll call this meeting to order. Welcome, everyone, and we'll start with a moment of reflection.
Let us be mindful of the needs of all our citizens and advance only those causes that will ensure peace and harmony in our community now and always.
Our land acknowledgement, we'd like to begin by acknowledging the land on which we gather today is the land traditionally used by the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and the Chinootan people. We acknowledge the enduring presence and deep traditional knowledge and philosophies of the Indigenous peoples with whom we share this land today. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest in accordance with the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act? Seeing none, we have some minutes to approve. I'll need a motion that the following minutes be adopted as presented. The minutes of the March 10th, 2026 council meeting, the minutes of the March 24th, 2026 committee of the whole meeting, and the minutes of the April 7th, 2026 council meeting. A mover for that, please. Councillor Seven, second by Councillor Wagner. Any discussion on the minutes? All in favor? And that's carried unanimously. No petitions, presentations. We do have a delegation this evening. So I need a motion that Abby Cooper from Hearts Open for Everyone with regard to Queensbush Settlement Mural Project. And there's a donation request. And the motion is that we accept Abby Cooper as a delegation. Moved by Councillor Brick, second by Councillor Herget. All in favor? And that's also carried. And the podium is yours.
Good evening, Mayor Nowak and council members. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. My name is Abby Cooper, and I'm the Executive Director of Hearts Open for Everyone, also known as HOPE. And I'm here alongside our committee members, Karen Smart and Tracy Lee Johnson, to share a project that is putting our region on the map. The Queensbush Settlement Mural Project. It's a story of endurance, collaboration, and a history that is literally under our feet here in Wellesley. So just gonna move on to slide. There we go.
Thank you. So I'm Tracy Lee Johnson. What is the Queensbush Settlement? To understand this project, we have to look back to the late 1830s. And at that time, this area was known as the Queensbush, a vast, unorganized territory. And while the land was only recently opened, a community of 2,000 Black pioneers, many seeking for freedom and a place to belong, carved out life in the wilderness. And these weren't just farmers. These were people of deep conviction and service. Many arrived having served during the Mackenzie Rebellion and the border excursion of 1838, looking to establish permanent roots. While the settlement eventually spanned several modern municipal lines, most of the most significant early clearings and homes were located right here in Wellesley Township. This is a story of incredible endurance that has helped build the very foundation of this region. So why Wellesley? Well, we're here because of the local connection. That's why Wellesley. Because this is your history. For many years, the story of the Queensbush Settlement has been kept alive by dedicated groups, local groups, but it hasn't been woven into the shared regional legacy. When we look back at the origins of the farms in this area, we see a story of incredible physical grit. Black pioneers cleared the dense forest and built the first homesteads near the border of the Haldeman Tract. As the landscape changed, a unique partnership emerged. We see records and agreements where Blacks and white settlers worked in tandem. Black farmers with their expertise and labor often helped expedite settlements on the entire tracts of land. And they lived and worked as neighbors, building the literal foundation of Wellesley together. So this isn't just about the past. It's about acknowledging that Black excellence has been the foundation of this township identity for almost 200 years. And through this mural, we're finally honoring that story, and that has been under our feet this whole time. And just to add a little extra onto that, so I am a descendant of one of those people. Thank you.
So the project, it's a landmark in Wallenstein. Our vision is a large-scale, professionally curated mural at Earthscape Play in Wallenstein, located on one of their prominent street-facing buildings. Our advisory committee brings an incredible wealth of expertise. I am from the Mapleton Historical Society, and Tracy, as she mentioned, is a fifth-generation descendant of the original Queensbush families. Alongside our Black, Mennonite, and Indigenous members, we ensure every detail is rooted in historical truth. We've already secured internationally recognized artist Calcutta Nasava to lead the design. He has already delivered the first of 3 collaborative drafts. However, this remains a project created by the community, not just for it. This was evidenced just this past Friday at our successful workshop where descendants and residents came together to share the specific stories and symbols that they want to see immortalized on that wall. We aren't stopping there. We've been out at local events, hosting a second workshop to build momentum for the reveal and maintaining an active online forum for ongoing community input. We are doing the work to ensure this mural is a permanent, accurate landmark that our entire region can be proud of when we reveal it on August the 15th.
So the project is a major driver of regional tourism. We've already secured the support of RTO4, Explore Waterloo Region, Wellington County, and Guelph Tourism, because they recognize the high value of historical tourism. To give you an idea of the scale and the emotional pull of this project, we already have descendants from across the United States planning their travel to Wallenstein for the reveal event in August. So this translates into heads and beds, customers in our local shops, and visitors at our farm stands. In a recent presentation to the Regional Council, it was shared that the neighboring Kissing Bridge Trail saw 193,000 visits in 2025 alone. These are mostly tourists from Guelph and Toronto, specifically cyclotourists looking for local culture and history. By placing this mural on Line 86, we're creating a high visibility, accessible destination. Earthscape is proactively setting up the space specifically for visitors, including dedicated parking spaces and a thinking bench for reflection. There will be a large interpretive sign with a QR code that connects visitors to an interactive map on our website. This digital experience will also guide tourists to other sites of interest, local businesses and historical landmarks throughout Wellesley and the surrounding area. We aren't just creating art, we're building a gateway that invites people to stop, reflect, and spend time in our township. And by placing this mural on Line 86, we're capturing a fraction of those 193,000 trips and giving them a reason to stop and reflect in Wellesley. We're not just hoping that they show up, we're building a landmark alongside an existing corridor that already brings nearly 200,000 people through our backyard every year. So we're incredibly proud of the public-private partnership driving this vision. Our partner, Earthscape Play, is dedicating $30,000 toward the artist and site infrastructure. So the remaining $36,000 of our $66,000 goal covers the critical work managed by Hope and the advisory committee, which includes deep dive historical research, extensive community outreach, and a landmark reveal event, which is August the 15th. While we're currently seeking $30,000 of this through federal grants, we're moving forward with full confidence in the project scale and significance. We've already secured $6,000 from our regional tourist partners, and Hope is currently backstopping the remaining costs with our own internal funds to ensure we stay on schedule for the August reveal event. We're currently seeking support from every municipality connected to this history, including Wellesley, Mapleton, Woolwich, Wellington County, and the region. It's a collective opportunity for our local governments to stand together in recognizing a chapter of our past that's been underrepresented for far too long. We initially approached this through a CIP application, as the project directly aligns with Wellesley's goals for facade improvement, placemaking, and accessibility. While we understand the township's discretionary donation fund is limited, we ask council to consider the regional significance of this project when determining its allocation. So beyond financial support, in-kind contributions such as assistance with permitting, staff coordination, or township-led promotion would make a tangible difference. To have Wellesley Township as our partner ensures the story is told with the dignity and reach that it deserves. Thank you.
It's a very exciting project. Questions from staff or council? Yeah, Councilor Wagner.
If I understand this correctly, this is at Earthscapes, and Earthscapes is in Woolwich Township. It's not in Wellesley.
It's not in Wellesley
No.
Township.
No.
It's not in Woolwich Township.
Earthscape
Mhm.
is Mapleton?
Yeah, so it's kind of split between Wellesley and Mapleton.
Their property taxes.
Okay.
Any other questions? So how much, as the region, have you approached the region?
Yes.
Water at all
We have applied for grants throughout.
throughout the region?
Yeah.
And just remind me where you're at right now with funding? What's your-
So we're still waiting on the results from the applications we've
from the
submitted.
applications? You have a federal application, did you mention?
Yes.
Thoughts? Yes, Councilor.
Thank you for that. I think it's an interesting project. I think it would be really interesting if it was right in Wellesley in the community, but I think it's a good project that way. It might be a question for Tim about the CIP part of it. So you guys mentioned that you looked at that as a starting point. I don't know, Tim, does this fall within our CIP anywhere? Is it because of its location outside of that?
Yeah, thanks, Councilor Brick. Yeah, unfortunately, like this ticks all the boxes in our CIP. Like if this was a property located within the township, like there'd be multiple things that we could apply here. Unfortunately, it's across the street, and that, like from a staff level perspective, like it's a fantastic project. Our job as staff is to apply the rules that we have in Wellesley. Doesn't mean that you guys can't do something different than that. But I guess what we would need, if you did want to consider it as part of the CIP, is some type of resolution that would require that. That would be unprecedented, I think. So, I mean, my suggestion to you would be to consider it as a donation line item, if you were in fact looking to support it. And I'll point out too that we've through the CAO's office and through Sam, like we're totally happy to also help get the word out, share on social media, all that kind of stuff, which we've done already for some of the things that they've sent to us. And so I would suggest through that avenue. Otherwise, it's a bit of a slippery slope on the CIP if others come to ask for similar type things. So, and I don't want to diminish any of the quality of this project. Like I think it's like it was a hard one for us to swallow when we were looking at the CIP and how we could get it through, but it'll be difficult.
What was the request amount in the CIP? Was there amount put on it?
10,000.
10,000.
was the facade signage and landscape improvement grant and placemaking and pedestrian building and accessibility grant we thought you might be eligible to.
Yeah, so there could be multiple there. Again, we didn't review it in fine detail. We kind of did a bit of a pre-review, right? But yeah, depending on what it is, it could be in the vicinity of 5 to 10,000 that it might be eligible for if it were to be considered under the CIP.
Our donation line isn't very substantial right now.
A donation line for 2026 is $3,000, and $1,500 is already committed to the Agricultural Society for the fair. And typically, in the past, we've also provided $300 to each of the Christmas parades.
Yeah.
So it leaves about $900.
$900, nowhere near the 10,000 that you're looking for. Well, this is a bit of a quandary. I think it's a fantastic project. I'm sure you're aware of some of the work that's been done in Hawksville on Temperance Island.
Yes.
And the plaque that was put up there a couple of years ago to honor the settlers that came there. And that's why this would have been so nice on the side of that bake shop in Hawksville or someplace in that area. But I understand that you'll probably get more visibility, and the bridge, once that's built, that'll happen. That's going ahead this year, and we hope it's going to.
And we're also currently working on getting a bump out on the G2G trail, at which point we'll be adding a sign there to link that spot to the mural, as well as QR codes and all of that. And logos to those who support us will be on each of these signs.
And the project, actually, the seed was planted by Earthscape Play. They recognized that they were on land of a Black settler. And so it was kind of their dream 3 years ago to commemorate Black heritage. So we're very lucky to have a business owner that recognizes that. It just happens to be just on that cusp of a couple of townships and the county and the region.
You didn't have a concept of the drawing itself?
So we have the first draft right now, but because it's sort of in the design phase, we can't really disclose that. But so it's basically going to be on street. It's on the street facing building as well as on the east side of the building. So as you're driving down, you'd be able to see it from quite a distance.
Well, I don't think we're in a position tonight to make a commitment. That would be something for, it's a budgetary thing, and we don't do our budget till next December. But I think what we could do is have staff take this back and have a close look at it to see if there's a way we can somehow use. I think it's a CIP would be the only way we can get the quantity of money that they're looking for. I don't know what the balance in that account is right now. So
we just recently had a couple more applications. So if I'd give you a number tonight, it'd be wrong. So I'd happy to take it back and we can look at it. I mean, the other option is, I don't want to get into a case of dueling departments here, but the other option is you increase your donation line item or some other line item as well, right? So it's not just, I don't want to put all the pressure on the CIP to deliver either, right? But we're happy to take it back and look at it.
Yeah, I think
with Jeff as well. We can
try to be the best way of looking at this. I wish we could make a commitment now, but I just don't think we're quite ready. But it's a great project, and I'm looking forward to seeing this. I mean, that little area, has got a potential. The grocery store in the corner there. Exactly. I mean, that's a historical site in itself. I mean, there's lots of reasons to tour around that area. So, and
we're also creating a driving map, a driving tour. Okay. So we're going to be printing those and placing those at the libraries and museums and all of that. So that's going to be distributed basically region wide. as well as a digital version on our website.
Oh, nice. Yeah, very nice. Okay, yes, Tim.
Sorry, through you, Mayor. Abby, I think it would be helpful to staff is if you could send us kind of your funding that you've asked for and received, if you're able to do that, if that's appropriate.
Yeah.
Just to give us an idea what kind of dollars we're working with, like,
For sure.
you know, like what you've applied for, what's confirmed, what you're waiting on. That would be helpful.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Councillor Brick.
Might be a question for the clerk, but is there value in making a motion to support the project in principle while exploring financial means of supporting it? Like, because you're going to go to the other councils and they're all going to ask you, well, what did Wellesley do and what did like
Right. And so it's
you're
a
just
lot
going to
of
keep
waiting.
yeah.
And
So I'm just wondering if there's a that we can show our support as a council if it's there, which I think it is, in some way that you guys can at least take that forward while we're exploring. I don't know.
Tim up there.
Or Tim may have thought too.
I was just going to say through direction, we could look into what Mayor Nowak has requested and have staff report back, and maybe that's something we can report at that time.
I think just something that you guys can walk away from tonight saying, like, if you're in Woolwich next week, that the Township of Wellesley supports it, but we don't have a financial number that you're not walking away from here saying, well, they all smiled and nodded, but so.
I think regardless of the financial aspect of it, certainly I don't want to speak, I won't speak for you, Rick, but like I know that we've, you know, committed to sharing social media stuff and supporting it that way. Like there's other ways that we can support it regardless of the amount of financial support. So I don't think staff at our department wouldn't have a problem with that.
Yeah, they could. Yeah, I'm just trying to think of other avenues for funding that we could explore. But anyway, give us some time on that. Would you? Oh, question.
Sorry, Mayor
First.
Nowak. Would this be something that maybe the Heritage Society would be interested in maybe working in conjunction with us?
It's possible. Yeah.
I don't know if they have more funds available than we do, but
They do have some money. They do have some money. I don't know the bottom line on it, but we can approach them. We have a historical society as well. So yeah, so we can do a little bit of research and ask staff to report back to us and talk to some of our partners. Councillor Wagner.
has Mapleton committed?
So Mapleton is supporting through, was it the R204?
No, they were actually
Oh,
still
that's
working with them too. So we
Yeah.
submitted a CIP to them. So
Mhm.
they had
Yeah.
a lot of their funds committed already for 2026. So we're just kind of waiting to see what they can pull together too.
Yeah. So it's a lot
So
of
waiting for them.
Okay.
And Woolwich, you're gonna
Woolwich, we're gonna
Mhm.
go to as well.
Yeah.
They did talk to us a bit. We have talked to them about it, and of course, again, that boundary
The
is
boundary
it's
is
very the problem with it's being stuck on those boundaries because Queensbush settlement really is across all those boundaries. So that's
Yes,
why
yeah.
we're kind of asking for the support of all the municipalities in that to consider this, to honor its history, like with no boundaries. And I think it would also signal, especially for our rural communities, it signals a forward-looking leadership at a time when the region's rural communities are growing so quickly and becoming more diverse. So I think it's a really amazing project for a lot of governments to come together on. So
Well, certainly wish, and we'll do what we can.
Thank you.
And we'll get a report back from staff on this probably within, so you got timelines when you want to start doing this?
Yeah, so I mean, we are we have a lot of projects ongoing leading up to the event. So a lot of expenses and all of that, so that we're just trying to manage based on what funding we bring in. So right now the RTO4 funding is supporting marketing and tourism related initiatives. So mhm.
Good.
Yeah, so staff have direction now from council to go back and bring a report. Just one quick question. I think on the one slide, it showed your budget was 66,000 and that you had 30,000 committed from Earthscapes, 30,000 from the federal government and 6,000 from the tourism boards. Is that correct?
We are waiting on the 30,000 from federal and other
Yes.
grants, regional grants. So we are waiting for that.
Yeah.
So if that 30,000 comes to fruition, what would the remaining funds from the municipalities be used towards?
So the what we've asked for through federal grants was to support for mainly the event itself. And so a lot of the community engagement aspects as well as marketing, because there's more than the 6,000 that's going to be going towards promoting this huge project. So a lot of that is going to be going towards that. So that support will make it even easier for us to put logos on a lot of the signage and material.
And the funds would also support Earthscape as a business. So, because they're going to maintain that property too for years and years to come. So, yeah, if they have support with their 30,000, then they can use some of the resources to go to other places regarding the project and the ongoing maintenance and community facing interpretive materials that we create. So yeah, it'll be well used for the community.
Great. And certainly in the interim, I can definitely dedicate my office towards assisting with advertising and promotion of the project. So anything that you want us to put on our social media channels, we can certainly do that.
That's amazing. Thanks so much.
Another fund that we're applying to is the legacy fund. So they often will need letters from municipalities that support the project. So we might reach out to Wellesley at some point for that letter, if that makes sense.
Mr. Herger?
Other than Earthscapes, have you received other private donations or reached out to the public for donations?
We've reached out. We have gotten some in-kind support from Guelph Today and Elora.
Yeah, Guelph Today, Guelph and Elora Today, as well as Explore Waterloo Region is offering $2,000 worth of photography, which is in kind, and City of Guelph is offering in-kind support as well.
Okay, but like, is there just private donors or?
No, we don't have any private donors.
Besides
Unless someone knows anyone.
Well, okay, so we'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for your presentation, and it is an exciting, and I think it's a very worthwhile project. So
Great.
hopefully we can help in one way or another and see this come to fruition. So thank you.
Thank you
Thanks
very
so much.
Okay. I'll need a motion now. The council rise and go into the committee of the whole to receive reports and recommendations. Moved by Councillor Herget, second by Councillor Brick. All in favor? And that's carried. We'll move right to Road and Bridge. Councillor Herget.
Thank you, Mayor Nowak. R&B 5 2026 Storm Sewer Flushing and Inspection Program. I need a motion whereas the contract will be executed over 2 calendar years. And whereas only storm sewer infrastructure older than 15 years will be inspected under the contract. Therefore, be it resolved that the Council of the Township of Wellesley approve the award of contract number 2026-05 for storm sewer flushing and inspection to Bob Robinson and Son Construction for a total contract amount of $291,251.04 plus applicable HST, which will be funded from the infrastructure reserve, and further that council approve a pre-budgeted amount to a maximum of $225,000 to be funded from the infrastructure reserve in 2027 to carry out the remainder of the project as awarded. Can I have a mover? Councillor Brick, seconded by Councillor Seven. Does the director have a report?
Yes, thank you, Councillor Herget. So I had presented this project in the capital budget presentation back in November, if you'll recall. I explained that it would be happening over a 2-year project just because for us to take on a estimated $300,000 project in 1 year is a lot, and to draw it out over 2 years is a reasonable thing to do for this type of project. As you heard in the recommendation, I'm asking to approve the contract award, which would include a $225,000 pre-approval for 2027. Obviously, we can't really award the tender without that guarantee. Like this contract, as you heard, only deals with underground storm infrastructure that is 15 years old. The reason behind that is 15 years old and older. The reason for that is because anything newer than that theoretically is in good condition and was inspected under today's standards, more or less. Year one would include the town of Wellesley at approximately 15.5 kilometers of underground storm sewer. And year two would include all the other settlements: St. Clements, Heidelberg, Linwood, Hawksville, Paradise Lake, and Cross Hill, for a total of about 19 kilometers of underground storm sewer. It's important to note that the cost of the contract does not include the associated engineering costs that have been estimated at a little over 25% of the tender cost. It's hard to get an exact number on that, as it's based on the hours it takes them to review the footage and things like that. This type of program is very similar to the stormwater pond investigations, the pavement condition index, the OSUM inspections for bridges, building condition assessments, all those type of things that are all used to provide valuable insight and to inform the asset management plan and 10-year capital plan. So this is very necessary information. This is the type of thing that we have to do this invasive type program in order to see, because you can't see it just from driving the surface like the pavement condition index, which we can do in-house. This type of thing we can't really do in-house. So that's all I really have, unless you have questions.
Thank you. Any questions for the director? So I just have one. When was the last inspection done?
I'm not aware of any inspection like this.
Okay. And when will the next one be done? Like, what is your time?
So the thought is a 7 to 10 year window.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Any more questions? If not, I'll call the question. All in favor? That's carried, unanimous.
Okay. Property and Fire, Councillor Seven.
Thanks, Mayor Nowak. PNF 2/2026, appointment of drainage engineer, Albright Drain. Recommendation that the Council of the Township of Wellesley appoint K-Smart Associates Limited to prepare a report for the Section 78 major improvements to the Albright Drain, and in accordance with Section 8(4) of the Drainage Act, RSO 1990, the engineer be directed to include Section 78 report with the report for the Kingwood Holsteins petition. Can I have a mover? Councillor Herget, seconder. Councillor Brick. Would Amy like to bring the report?
Thank you, Councillor Seven. So the original petition for drainage work dates back to November 2024. That was received from Kingwood Holsteins, with 2 additional petitions received by council in March of 2026. This appointment is for the Section 78 improvements to the Albright Drain that are required to be done, along with the new infrastructure that would be identified in the petitions. The 3 petitions and the Section 78 improvements will all be included in one engineer's report.
Thank you. Any discussion or questions for Amy? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? And that's carried unanimous. And on to PNF 3/2026, POF Drain Tender Award. Recommendation that the Council of the Township of Wellesley award the contract to Nichols Excavating Inc. to perform drainage works as detailed in the POF Drain Engineers Report dated October 9th, 2025, to a total bid price of $165,598.18 plus HST, and further that this amount be funded by the Township of Wellesley and recovered as per the assessment schedule in the POF Drain and corresponding bylaw 28/2025, And further, that the Township of Wellesley assessment be funded from the infrastructure reserve.
Thank you. So obviously this report is to award the contract for the POP drain to Nichols Excavating. This amount is to be funded from the infrastructure reserve until the final billing is completed approximately 1 year after the project is completed. That 1 year warranty inspection period. But this is just following the Drainage Act requirements.
So I think I forgot to ask for a mover and a seconder. Mover, Councillor Burke, seconder, Councillor Hurgett.
Do it again.
Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried unanimous.
Okay, we'll move to admin and finance, AF&P 18-2026. This is a budget meeting schedule revision. And I'll read this. Whereas the Council of the Township of Wellesley deems it beneficial to residents of the township to participate in and be informed of council decisions, including the annual budget process. And further, that the approved 2026 council meeting schedule does not provide an evening meeting during the 2027 budget deliberations. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the 2026 council meeting schedule be amended to set the time of Thursday, December 3rd, 2026 budget meeting to 5:45 p.m. at the Township of Wellesley Council Chamber, and further that staff be directed to communicate this amendment ahead of the 2026 budget deliberations. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Sevens, by second by Councillor Wagner, and you're on again.
Thank you. So this is just an amendment to the 2027 budget meeting schedule to include one evening meeting as directed by council during the 2026 budget meetings. And then this update will just be communicated to residents with additional communication ahead of the budget meetings, as we would typically do.
Any questions? Call the question, all in favor, and that's carried. AF&P 19-2026, council remuneration. The recommendation that the council of the Township of Wellesley approve a base remuneration increase for members of council effective November 15th, 2026, and the amount be adjusted annually by the council approved cost of living adjustment as follows. Increase of $5,456.27 for the mayor for a total of $39,193.91, and increase of $4,429.16 for councilors for a total of $22,721. Could I have a mover for that, please? Councillor Brick, second by Councillor Seven. And you again.
Thank you, Mayor Nowak. As council is well aware, the responsibilities of a member of council is far greater than the legislative duties. My council remuneration review was last completed in 2017 by a consulting firm with a modest increase that was phased in over, I believe, 3 years. The recommended increase is reflective of the current comparator median using the 50th percentile, which has been used in the last market salary review for staff. Comparators were selected from outside of the region based on population, council size, which would include municipalities that also do not have strong mayor powers, and lower tier municipalities. Other considerations that held lesser value in the review include the number of meetings held by the municipality, number of committee meetings the members are required to attend, the time of meetings, and allowances for things like conferences and expenses. And then maintaining market rate remuneration for members of council and performing the review during the last year of a council term helps prevent large increases to catch up when the review is completed.
Okay, questions? Stay mum on this one. Hey, Mom.
Are you good for comments or?
Yes.
Oh, I think the compensation that I'm receiving now covers the time that I'm putting into council, and I'm okay with just the COLA increase each year.
We're not talking about what you're receiving right now. We're talking about what the next council may receive.
Okay.
Okay. So it may not It may or may not affect you. I don't know. Any other thoughts? So I was a little bit surprised at how far we've fallen back over the years. And I guess the question I have to staff, I would imagine each of the other municipalities are pretty much doing the same thing. If we go to this 50% portion that we're at right now with this recommendation, and then the other councillors all increase their wages, we're still going to be lower than everybody else.
Yes, that is correct.
I've understood that correctly. Yeah. Okay.
I can just provide a bit more context.
Yes.
All right. So two local remuneration reviews that were recently completed, Wilmot and Woolwich. I believe at Wilmot Council Committee last night, they did go with the 60th percentile because that is what they had approved for staff as well. They're looking at approximately $10,000 for the mayor position as an approved increase, and somewhere in the $3,500 range for their councillors. So they are also seeing significant increases.
And you mentioned too, what was the other one? That you don't have the numbers for the second one?
Sorry, Wilmot and Woolwich are the two that were most recently approved.
Yes.
And they were both around 10,000.
Oh, they were both around.
Yeah, they're both around the same
Okay.
figures.
Okay. So we're still going to be the lowest, which is fine. Any others? This is a very sensitive or difficult.
I'm thinking that the number of residents in our township is less, so it kind of makes sense that our councillors and mayor get paid less, but I know that in order to entice people to run for office, sometimes you have to make a good amount out there, put the amount out there for them to be enticed. But I think, truthfully, I think if somebody really wants to run for council, they're going to run regardless of what the amount is, because I don't think it's not usually for the money that people are joining council. So,
But it is an attractive.
but it is an attractive, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
And I don't know whether you can go by the number of residents. I appreciate your comment on that, but you still have the same amount of responsibility. You still have the same amount of reading to do. You still have, the same number of meetings. They're all defined in the municipal act of what your participation rates are.
I think there's just that many more people that you have to please, right? So
Well, you're never going to please them.
you're never going to please them all, but there's
Doesn't matter how
not,
many.
not as many comments, not as many questions maybe from the constituents, I guess. So that's just my thoughts.
Yes.
I just would point out that of the comparators that were used, only Wilmot and Woolwich are significantly higher populations than us. The rest are very much in line with what our populations are or less. And Woolwich and Wilmot, once they apply their increases, will be about $10,000 more than what's being proposed here for Wellesley as well.
Okay. Councilor Wagner.
Being that this is like 20 years for me, I like to see this because I think that we shouldn't sell ourselves short with the work that we put in and the time that we spend with constituents and the time we spend doing meetings and whatnot. And I mean, I think there were years that I felt like I paid the township instead of the township paying me. So we do a lot of good work and we put a lot of time in. And yeah, you don't necessarily run for the money, because I didn't run for the money, but it is also nice to be recognized for the amount of time that you commit to the betterment of the township on behalf of the taxpayers.
Comments? Stay a moment. Okay, then we're going to call the question. All in favor? And that's carried. One opposed? Opposed, one opposed. Not unanimous. Okay, AF&P 2026, that's the local bucks program, and that is to be received for information. Did staff want to comment on that? Okay.
Yeah, so was actually approved by council back in 2021, but we're bringing it back or starting it up again. So it'll essentially be giveaways and coupons that are available for purchase in our offices to encourage residents to participate in local businesses. So those businesses will then have a chance to be reimbursed by the township if they have local bucks spent at their establishments. So again, it's just something that we're hoping to promote engagement and participation within the local businesses.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. I think, in light of the fact that we don't have a business associations in the community like the BIA or something like that, it's nice that the township is actually going to step up and take this initiative. So I think it's a great idea to follow through. So do we need a motion to receive it for information? Oh, moved. Did I have it moved? Councilor Wagner, Councilor Seven. Any other discussion? All in favor? And that's carried. Okay. I motion now that the committee of the whole, wait a second. The committee of the whole rise and council resume and report. Moved by Councilor Brick, second by Councilor Wagner or Councilor Herget. All in favor? And that's carried. The report of the committee of the whole be adopted as set forth in the motions and actions detailed above. Moved by Councilor Seven, second by Councilor Wagner. All in favor, and that's carried. And then in the information package, we have an article. I'm going to have Councilor Herget speak to it.
Thank you, Mayor Noah. So I brought forward the OMERS information package there. Currently, OMERS is governed by two boards, each made up of members appointed by employee and employers groups. The current system of two boards works because it balances independence, accountability, and fairness across so many different employees and employers. In 2024, the sponsors board adjusted rates to reallocate the financial burden in a more equitable way. 3 groups wrote to the Premier and asked for a review. In 2025, the new changes were legislated and passed. These changes to the plan This changes the plan from a stewardship model to an advocacy and interest-based bargaining. Municipalities will have less of a voice in the fund. Any new costs will have to be covered by employers and employees. Municipal governments are the default funders. The new model creates greater risk of funding shortfalls, which will ultimately need to be covered by the taxpayers.
Questions for Councilor Herget? And your thoughts? I mean, I can support this. I think it makes a lot of sense. And don't want to burn any bridges, but I think the government is overstepping a little bit with this. So for, you don't need a motion.
I do have a motion prepared.
Oh, you have a motion prepared. Okay.
So I can read the motion. Whereas the Ontario Municipal Employees Retirement System, OMERS, pension fund serves over 1,000 employers and over 500,000 employees and retirees from diverse groups, including municipal governments, school boards, libraries, police and fire departments, children's aid societies, and electricity distribution companies. And whereas the longstanding jointly sponsored governance model with 2 corporate boards has provided stability, accountability, and fairness for both plan members and employers for more than 2 decades. And whereas the government of Ontario has passed legislative changes to OMERS governance structure through Bill 68, and whereas these changes would replace the current OMERS Sponsors Corporation with a new Sponsors Council that would lose its corporate status and independent resources. Whereas the proposed model could allow pension decisions affecting municipal employers and employees to be made without meaningful municipal oversight, increasing financial risk for municipalities and local taxpayers. And whereas municipalities are already under significant financial strain and cannot absorb additional pension costs without consequences for property taxes or local services. Now therefore be it resolved that the Township of Wellesley does not support the legislative changes to the OMERS Act contained in Bill 68 and request that the Government of Ontario reconsider the advisability of proceeding with these changes, and that the Township of Wellesley supports the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, AMO, in calling on the Government of Ontario to maintain the current OMERS governance model with 2 corporate boards as the structure that would best deliver on the long-term interests of municipalities, taxpayers, and employees, and that a copy of this motion be forwarded to the Honorable Doug Ford, Premier of Ontario, the Honorable Rob Flack, Minister of Housing and Municipal Affairs, the Honorable Peter Bethlen, thank you, Minister of Finance, local and area MPPs, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, the Association of Municipal Managers, Clerks, and Treasurers of Ontario, and the Region of Waterloo and local area municipalities.
Mover for that. Councillor wants to move that. Is there a seconder? Councillor Brick. Any further discussion on that? All in favor? And that's carried unanimously. We'll move to the CAO report.
Thanks, Mayor Nowak. Just a couple of things to update council on tonight. First, the health center in Linwood is off to a good start. The foundation is complete and backfilled. They are working at finalizing things for the full building permit with the engineering and reports that are required. And hopefully that will be completed shortly so they can start working on the superstructure. And secondly, the Conestoga River Bridge on the G2G trail has been approved by Regional Council, and that is slated to be completed this fall. That's pending approvals on the various permits that are required for the project. So happy to take any questions.
Do they have the full funding for the bridge?
Yes, so there was originally a private donor that pledged $3 million. A second private donor came forward with another $2.5 million pledge. And the township is holding some funds that were fundraised originally. And we also received a federal grant that's going towards the project. And the Region of Waterloo has pledged the remainder of the money, additional $1.2 million.
And what's the estimated total?
I believe it's $8.6 million.
Okay.
Okay. It's good news. Getting a lot of positive feedback from that. So it's hey, you want to put a bed and breakfast up in Linwood someplace, because I think you're going to get a lot of traffic. Okay, we'll go to the bylaws. Bylaw 1026 being a bylaw to confirm delegated authority during the lame duck period of council. Bylaw 11/2026, a bylaw to establish a recreation advisory committee and to provide for the appointment of members. Bylaw 12/2026, bylaw being a bylaw to adopt a use of corporate resources for election purposes policy. Bylaw 13/2026, being a bylaw to adopt the procedures in the manner in which a recount is conducted in the municipal election. And bylaw 14/2026, being a bylaw to confirm all actions and proceedings of council. I'll need a motion that those bylaws be read a first and second time. Moved by Councillor Seven, second by Councillor Wagner. All in favor? And that's carried. Need a motion that those same bylaws be read a third time, passed the mayor and clerk, be authorized to sign and seal the bylaw under the corporate seal. Moved by Councillor Brick, second by Councillor Herget. All in favor? And that's carried. Next committee of the whole meeting, April 28th. Committee of council, May 12th. Committee of the whole meeting, May 26th. Councillor Wagner, motion to adjourn. All in favor?